And we are now live.
This is Senate Appropriations, and we're continuing our work on the FY 2023 budget, and we are getting the budget presentation from the Commissioner of BGS. And she has staff with her as well. You may want to introduce the staff that you have, Commissioner, and then we will go into the budget presentation. As you well know, this committee does not usually go in line by line. We want to really focus on what might be the major changes, either up or down, and just sort of a sense of how things are going for the department. So with that, if you want to introduce your folk, and then we'll let you present, and Chrissy will share as you request. Screen share.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, my name is Jennifer Fitch, and I am the Commissioner of Buildings and General Services. I have to admit I'm working off my phone, so I can't quite see everybody, but typically I have other support folks from the Financial Services Division. If they're here and they want to quickly say hi, if that's okay, Madam Chair, then I'll know who's in the room with me.
Okay, well, let me tell you, Jason Pinard, Brenda Berry, Holly Anderson, and then Eric of your own BGS staff. So
and Sean Benham as well.
And Sean Benham must be your chief fiscal officer.
Jason Pinard and Sean Benham are our financial directors that prepare our budget.
Okay, all right. So we have both Jason and Sean. So I think you have your full complement, Commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If it's okay to put up page 9 from the budget book, and we could start from there, and I will try my best to keep it as high level as possible. And for anything that I can't answer, Jason and Sean are fantastic and can answer those really tough technical questions. So big things. So a couple things to know about BGS. We have 11 programs. That's a lot of programs to manage for one department. Our department is roughly 360 employees, and we provide all sorts of government services, such as buildings. We also have surplus, print postal, the information centers, centralized procurement. What else? Fleet. We have all the fleet vehicles. So we provide basically all your government services in order for entities to operate. And so we divide all of that into 11 proposed budgets. The big things and the big changes, Madam Chair, this year is of the 11 programs, we are seeking $51 million to support those programs. The majority of the budget pressures are attributed to salary and benefit changes, Attorney General Office services, so legal services, human resource allocation, property insurance went up this year, and we're also bringing 3 facilities online this year, which we're really, really excited about to deliver, but they also cost us money because we are adding additional buildings to our portfolio. So we're going to start with BGS administration, which is the BGS Commissioner's Office, which funds myself, Eric Philcorn, the Deputy Commissioner, which is currently vacant. And if you know anyone who's looking, please let me know. We're out for recruitment. It also has Judy Bruno, who's our Executive Administrative Assistant, and it has Greg Harris, who is our legal counsel through the Attorney General's office. There is one change in here this year, Madam Chair, and that is that we're adding a financial director position to the department. Because we have large programs, we really need to be more strategic about how we plan and manage all of our different budgets. So this will be someone that is providing financial planning services and more on the financial strategy side. And they're going to look at different things like fee for space, which was developed in 2004, and we've never taken a look at it ever since, and it's a $32 million program. So we want to audit that program. How is it doing? Should we be billing people the way that we are, or should we look at a different way of billing our customers for our services? And are there cost containment measures that we can take advantage of? So that's one thing that he will be working on.
So that position is the one being transferred and reclassified to Financial Director 2 with an up of 122.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
All right.
And as well, you'll see the change in contracted and third-party services there for $165,000. That was previously in the capital bill. We went through an audit over the summer and learned that we cannot charge that to the capital bill, which is why you're now seeing it reflected in the Commissioner's Office budget. So that's another change. And again, down lower, you're seeing that $63,000 increase for human resource allocation as well. So those are the major ups in the program this year for the Commissioner's Office.
Okay. Pretty straightforward.
The next one is BGS Engineering. And instead of requesting funds from the capital bill, which are bonded dollars, we're asking for general funded dollars this year. This is part of the governor's proposal to lower our debt service in the capital bill by moving and shifting out some of the things that are traditionally charged to the bonded dollars to the capital bill. And that includes A&E. So this is basically all of our architects and engineers that manage projects, all the capital bill projects for the state of Vermont. So they do anything from repairs to deferred maintenance to large renovations to new builds. They do it all for the state of Vermont and all of our buildings. Major changes this year, again, salaries and benefit changes. You're actually seeing those go down, and you may wonder, why is it going down? Well, they're going down because we've had employees that have been working for BGS for a very long time retire. And as they retire, we're hiring newer employees who are lower down on the pay grade and the step scale. And so that's what you're seeing, a reduction there. We are appropriating, and we RFR'd a couple of positions that were in operations and maintenance, our fee for space, and we're moving them into BGS Engineering. And the reason we're doing that is because we have not caught up from Tropical Storm Irene. We are still behind on delivering projects. And I've been hearing that both from the administration and the legislature since I've been at BGS since 2017. And the only way I'm going to be able to fix that is to give them more resources so they can get more projects out the door. We did try a contracted project manager approach where you leverage the private sector to do just that, to fill in the gap. But unfortunately, what we found was that it was more expensive and it was very inefficient, because the only way you learn at BGS how to be a project manager is to sit with the rest of the staff and learn it through institutional knowledge. And so that's how we do it currently. So that's a major change. In addition, we're also asking for some funding for temporary employees. This is really so that we can create some internships. So we have some work going on with our workplace integrated management system, and that system is going to require us to get out into the field to do some work. If I hire an architectural engineering firm to do that work, it's going to cost a lot of money, versus I can have some internships. It will be much more cost effective to the state of Vermont. And hopefully it creates a pipeline for recruitment in the future when we're trying to fill these project management positions. And the last change you're seeing, that's a large one, is the change in administrative service fee for $74,000. That's an up in the program. That is coming and being allocated from the BGS Commissioner's Office. So the way our office works is that we have what it costs to fund the Commissioner's Office, and then that is then allocated across the 10 programs within BGS. And so because ours went up, you're seeing that also reflected in the engineering line item, and you're going to see that in the subsequent programs as well.
All right, we call that cost allocation. So the big change here, and the governor had referenced it, and it's bounced back and forth depending on how much general fund you have, and that's where engineering lands. And so this is moving it back to general fund.
That is correct, Madam Chair.
Okay. Other questions before we move to the next slide for the next appropriation? Okay. Don't see any, but I can only see 2 senators. So if you have a question, speak up. What are the annotations on the right? For example, base salary change. Well, that was because you had high cost long-term employees retire, but you're saying that makes Vermont more affordable. Well, that's so what are structural statewide pressure? What's the purpose of your annotations on the right-hand column?
So either Jason or Sean would be able to better speak to that than I could. So if it's okay to yield to them, but I think the goal was, how does this fit into the governor's goals? Or basically, what are we classifying each of these ups and downs as? But if Jason or Sean could fill in, that would be helpful. So
do we have like a dictionary of what the categories, every item of spending within an appropriation has to be, how it has to be characterized?
Jason or Sean?
Yeah, I mean, this was a change in this report this year, from the Department of Finance, was to now start to classify each one of these expenses either up or down within one of these categories. And I believe there was, if I remember correctly, there was 4 options to choose from. So, I don't know. I don't know the background on the intent with that. Maybe Sean or Holly or Brenda might. I'm not sure though.
So we're seeing that, I don't know, are we seeing it in every budget, every up and down sheet? I didn't,
Yes.
we are. For other departments, all right. I just happened to notice it here. All right, just was wondering. We'll keep going. There are no other questions.
So,
All right, BGS.
so the next program is the Bgs Information Centers. We have 18 information and welcome centers around the state. We know that many of the representatives and senators really enjoy their information centers. And so, and it falls under BGS's portfolio. And so the major changes in this program, again, are salary and benefit changes. And then this year, we're not booking any vacancy savings. And that's why you're seeing that $314,000 line item. And the other big change is that you're seeing a change in custodial as a down for $450,000. That's because during the pandemic, we had portalets. So when we closed buildings, we wanted to make sure that people still had toilets. And so we brought in portalets while the buildings were closed, but all of the buildings have subsequently opened. And so we have removed those portalets. And that's why you're seeing that down of $450,000.
Okay. Any other questions? I mean, I realize some of this is shared with transportation, and it's, we had a study in terms of how to allocate the cost between the two. So unless there are further questions on this, we'll move along. Some of the visitor centers are really, the replacements like in White River, really lovely buildings now. So we can move on to purchasing.
So BGS purchasing, great thing to know about our purchasing program is it has all centralized procurement for the state of Vermont. So everything, like a thing that you buy, could be a pencil, could be a mask. We've done a lot to support COVID-19 operations for the state. So anything that's a commodity, a physical thing, that all goes through the centralized office of purchasing and contracting. And then we also do the majority of the service contracting for the state as well. And not all folks know, but all municipalities can buy off most of our contracts. And so that's something great for all of you to know, and your constituents to know as well. So in this program, they are small and mighty. There's not a lot of people in this program. And the big changes in this program this year, again, are salaries and benefit changes, and then change in benefits due to rate increases. So again, salaries and benefit changes. And then down in the change in administrative charge, you're seeing it up there at 57,000. That's because, again, it's flowing from the commissioner's budget. But what's important to know here, and why this dollar amount is where it is because this program utilizes a lot of legal services. So we made sure that when we allocated that out, that we were giving them the correct percentage. In fact, last year, because we used so many legal services for this program, they've actually allocated somebody additional from the Attorney General's office to provide support. And they do all things, legal services and contracting. So we utilize that service every single day.
Questions? We'll move on.
Yeah, Jane, I had one if I could.
Yeah, certainly.
Up in the top part of your presentation, well, it's the bottom section. It's a salary change of 30,300, but base benefit change of 46,900 or 47,000. Then a change in benefits due to rate increase of another 14. So, I mean, I'm just wondering why the benefits are, are so much higher than your salary changes?
Oh, probably because of the retirement. ADAC got recalculated, and the other is health insurance went up 10%. I
And
bet
that's on the 3/6 on all the employees, so,
on all employees. Yeah,
Yeah.
all, yeah.
yeah.
Although you have a change in benefits due to rate increases, so perhaps you could explain that 14 on top of the 46 or 47,000.
Happy to, Madam Chair. I'm hoping though that I can yield to Jason. Jason Pinard, can you answer that question?
Yeah, so the typical, your base benefit changes, this changes in benefit, like people might change their health plan from year to year. And then after that point, when we set the rates, there wasn't change in the rates, retirement and health that you're talking about. And that's the change in benefits due to rate increases. So we kind of just broke those two pieces out separately.
I'm not sure I totally understood it, what's in the base versus the rate, but.
Yeah, so on the base, you might have a new employee come in that was from last year. And the previous year, the employee that was there before might have had a single health plan.
Okay, all right, that's what you're calculating in. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions on that? And that would be true for all the different DEP IDs here. Okay.
yeah, all of our programs are separated out like that.
And because those costs are there for all employees and for all budget sections of the budget.
Correct.
All right, I guess we could move to the next slide then, Chrissy, if there's no further questions.
So the next programs are like peanut butter and jelly. So this is BGS Postal, which will then be followed by BGS Print. They're both in the same building and the staff work together throughout the day. And of all of my offices and divisions within BGS, this one is the most efficient one you've ever seen. So if you've never taken a trip to Print and Postal, I definitely recommend it sometime.
Don't we have an operating deficit here?
Sean is ready to speak to he's prepared to give you where we are in the deficits.
Okay.
Sean?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pulling up the annual report now. So yeah, both of these programs do still have a deficit cumulative position. They were both profitable last year. What are we? Postal was 143,000 to the good. So the deficit dropped from 3.6 to 3.5 million. It's a drop in the bucket, but it's at least in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Copy Center made 312,000. So it went from 1.3 to just over 1 million in the deficit.
Do you expect that those trends will continue, or was there something atypical that helped put you on the right side of in the black as opposed to continuing to add to the deficit? Or have you been making progress more for the last several years? I can't remember, to be honest.
Yeah, thank you. No, and that's a great question. We've the management team in this program, they spent a lot of time looking for efficiencies, and we have spent some time looking at the rates to try to right size. So we're optimistic that the trend's going to continue. Obviously, sometimes it's a little hard to predict trends, but reviewing the second quarter data, we expect the year to be at least okay. We don't want to be overly optimistic, but at the same time, there's cause for hope.
Other questions on the peanut butter and jelly here? Okay.
So the major things that are impacting the postal budget are salary and benefit changes. I sound like a broken record on that. And then we are reclassifying one position to go from a technician position to an administrative position. And really their role is to increase efficiency and drive new business. So for example, we have a brand new inventory management system. So for those folks that know what surplus is, now you can actually go online to purchase items versus going to the store. And so, however, right, that system is going to need some tender loving care to get it off the ground and become really efficient with it. And so you are seeing an increase there of $63,000 because we're adding to the administrative charge in that program, again, to make sure that we're charging staff appropriately to the programs they're supporting. The major changes in BGS print, again, salary and benefit changes. And again, that administrative staff salary, we're adding a different, one more administrative person. And then again, we're basically charging their fee across the programs accordingly. So that's the big change in print as well.
Can keep going, I guess.
Okay, sure, I'll keep going.
I don't see questions or hear anyone.
So the next program is BGS Fleet Management. So this is all of your motor pool, which is your daily, I just need to rent a vehicle for administrative travel and travel from one location in the state and back. And then we also lease vehicles to agencies and departments as well. And so major changes here again are staff and salary and benefits. Again, that administrative staff time. Right now, we don't have a fleet manager. Again, if you know anybody who would like to apply for the position, we're currently trying to fill it. But once we do fill it, we recognize that a new employee is going to need quite a bit of orientation to bring them on board. So we are allocating, again, the manager's time appropriately to account for the fact that they'll be spending more time onboarding this new employee into the position.
Somewhere there's a proposal floating around to make vehicles, fleet vehicles, when they're to be turned over, to actually, to donate or for reach up recipients. Is that something? It seems like you would have factored in the revenue from the sale of those vehicles. Is that something being proposed by the administration, or is that being proposed by legislators?
So we actually have been working up with the Reach Out program over the last 6 months, and they already purchased. So they still have to purchase the vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
They already purchased a number of vehicles from us, I want to say about 6 months ago, and we're going back through the process again. In terms of the revenue, I would have to defer back to, I believe Jason is the one that manages this program. So I'd have to go back to him in terms of knowing exactly how that works.
Okay, but there is actually a sale, a transaction then of some compensation for the vehicle.
That is correct, Madam Chair. And I went to the wrong person. This would be Sean Benham could answer the question. But yes, they do pay for the value of the vehicle at the point at which we're planning to dispose of it, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
Madam Chair.
Yes. Senator Bruce.
Just a quick question, Commissioner. I'm looking at over on the far right column, and under program staff salary and benefit changes, that's attributed to structural statewide pressure.
Well, they had to put it in some box, Senator Bruce, and that must have been the best one.
But then administrative staff salary benefit changes are to modernize and improve government. I'm wondering why one is improving government and the other one is due to negative pressures.
Oh, I know the answer.
Okay.
But the commissioner gave it to us. It relates to why they were making changes in the copy to modernize and to continue to make progress on making it profitable. But I think probably the commissioner needs to answer how the distinction between the two categories. It might be a nuance there, Senator Bruce, that we could benefit from.
Right. So you are correct, Madam Chair. So the structural statewide pressure is things we don't have control over, right? So if there's increases in salaries and benefits, I don't personally, as the BGS commissioner, have control over that. So that's why it's a structural statewide pressure. In terms of the administrative staff salary and benefit changes, this has to do with converting that technician to an administrative role. And their job is to do many things, but create greater efficiencies in the program, improve customer service, help us get that new surplus website off the ground, and different things that are going to allow us to modernize those programs over time.
Understood. I just was reacting to the negative connotations of the one and the positive connotations of the other, but
Yes.
in any event,
but we don't know what the other choices they had, Senator Burrows.
weren't they infinite?
No, I think they had
I
to
mean,
put everything into a bucket, predetermined buckets, 4 buckets.
okay. Well, I suppose that's the administration's own choice, but in any event, just curious.
Yeah, maybe we can find out what the other 2 are.
We can jump in real quick if we can read down the list. So there were actually 5.
Oh, 5. Oh,
There were 5. So grow the economy, make Vermont more affordable, build safe and healthy communities, modernize and improve government, or structural statewide pressure. So it was a drop down of those 5.
Well,
right. Well,
at
now
least
we
you
can,
have some choices.
at least you have 1 out of 5. Used to be 2 out of 3 ain't bad. So see, we'll keep going unless there are further questions. So now we're down to surplus property.
That is correct, Madam Chair. So this is another peanut butter and jelly moment. We have both federal surplus and state surplus. Our
Right.
federal surplus program is very small. And you're seeing there's only a slight change in administrative charge there of $130. In the BGS state surplus property, what's important to know about this program is we only have 2 staff people actually at the warehouse. That's all we've got, two technicians in this program. And the major changes again are staff and salary benefit changes, the administrative staff salary and benefit changes, and again we assumed of 0% or $0 vacancy savings because there's only 2 in the program. So I really can't have those positions vacant because when those positions go vacant, I can't run the store. So we're hoping to have those open full time. And then the only other change is the last line item for administrative travel. For the surplus program, we actually do have to travel around to pick up surplus from different agencies and departments and branches of government, but we've never had a line item for it in our budgets. So we felt this year we should add a line item to reflect the type of, the amount of travel that we're doing during the year to go pick up surplus products to sell in the store.
So $500, you won't travel too much, I guess.
That is correct.
That's about 1,000 miles, isn't it? Or
Well, at least it's showing transparency, right? Otherwise, it would have just been buried in another line. So any questions on surplus property? If not, we can go down to property management.
So this is BGS Property Management. And first I want to say, I don't know how close the Budget Adjustment Act is to passing, but thank you for support for $5 million to the property management deficit if it stays alive, which
It definitely, not only did it stay alive, but the Senate has, if we have a surplus at the end of the year, which we expect we will based on January revenues, we're adding another 5 million. So it would be a total of 10, which would take that note off the CAFR. So not only did we agree with the House, but we also hope that we can make the additional 5 million for a total of 10.
So I just want to say that I'm very grateful for that because it's been a longstanding problem that in the last 5 years of my time at BGS, we have not figured out how to address it. So thank you so much. I appreciate that support.
Now, all we have to do is get the House to agree with us.
Okay. I'm not in the middle of that one, but
Oh.
I don't want to be in the middle of that one.
No, I think that's being wise.
Thank you, but I do appreciate the support. So major changes in this program are salary and benefit changes again. And then the other one in this program is property insurance. So I don't have control over property insurance rates. That's risk management. My understanding is they have a new contract with a new vendor. And so that has gone up both for my property management program and fee for space, which is my state-owned program.
Right. Questions on that? If not, we'll keep going.
Great.
That
So
I'm-
Wouldn't,
No, I'm-
wouldn't fee for space cover the insurance cost for that space, or is everything included in the fee for space rental?
So it's a great question, Senator Starr. So hopefully you can still see me because I'm moving my phone around so it doesn't die. One of the things that's important to know is that in addition to buildings, we also have grounds, right? And property management basically oversees the allocation of fee for space, but they also oversee all of those grounds as well. I've got property out there where I don't have a building and I still have to pay property insurance on it.
Yep, thanks.
Hmm.
So
Anything that sticks out here, change in personal services, that's on, oh, you got BGS, no, what's the next one? No, wait a minute, 816, what line is that? Maintenance now in Williston Public Safety Facility, is that, no? Change in vacancy savings?
Yeah, so the major things that are happening in this program, Madam Chair, is we're bringing 3 facilities online, which we're very excited about because during COVID, we got slowed down. And so we're happy to finally be able to deliver some projects. And that's going to include the Berlin Public Safety Facility. That was where we had a library and we're converting it into a police barracks. That's supposed to be up and running in June of 2022. Really exciting. And then the next one is the new mental health care facility that's going in Essex. That one is supposed to be up and running in December. And then the last one is Williston, another public safety facility. And the goal is to have that one also up and running in FY23. And so we're pretty excited to bring those buildings online, but that also means when we do that, that we need to have custodians and maintenance mechanics to operate and maintain those buildings. And a mental health care facility, for example, has a greater number of custodians than standard office space based on the type of work they do in those facilities. So
So the
that's,
change in vacancy savings, which is the 816, which is an up, is that related to the 3 facilities that you just referenced?
so there's something kind of funky going on with vacancy savings that I'm not going to be able to clearly articulate. So Jason Pienaar, would you mind jumping in to explain that?
Yeah, so last year we booked almost $1.7 million in vacancy. So an up in vacancy savings is really, it's really a down. So last year we booked 1.7 million in vacancy savings. This year we're reducing that in half. We're only booking like $850,000 of vacancy savings. So we're reducing our vacancy savings by the 816,916, even though it shows as an up.
So
The
what
other
will that,
No.
then, in light of that explanation, what will your vacancy savings be brought down to then?
I'll have to find the exact number. It's around 850,000. Let me get it here for you.
I was thinking 4%, 5%, 3%, the rate.
Yeah, I don't know the rate off the top of my head.
Well, obviously, that was a pretty high vacancy savings. Was that attributable to anything with CRF or replacement that we're just having to back into?
Madam Chair, the goal through the pandemic was to try to hold our rates constant, over the last couple of years because our buildings are lightly occupied and we just felt that that was the best approach. And so that's why there was the $1.7 million vacancy savings last year in an effort to hold that rate consistent.
So
Were you able to make it?
We will not end up hitting that target. No, Madam Chair.
I didn't think so. That's pretty aggressive. Okay.
Yeah, in the current budget for fiscal year 23, we're booking $840,401 of vacancy savings, which represents a 4% number of salaries and benefits.
Thank you. Any other questions here? You've already addressed property insurance and why that increased. Oh, and you have change in heating oil.
That is correct, Madam Chair. So we're seeing it down actually in the cost of heating oil, and we're seeing it up in the cost of wood chips.
Okay.
And the thing to keep in mind with those two line items, it's not just cost that factors into those numbers, it's also usage. So if we have a very cold winter versus a warmer winter, then that drives those numbers significantly also.
Yeah, I think actually this winter has had more sub-zero days than we ever did last year, for example. Okay, any other questions, committee, as you kind of look at the ups and downs that we haven't already touched on? Okay. Then we can, do you have another slide?
I don't have any other slides, Madam Chair. That is the end of my presentation.
Oh, all right. So other general questions of the commissioner or staff that we haven't raised already? Think not. Some of us have got another meeting at 4 o'clock, so we probably, I need to run next door to my other workstation, and you need to get back to your office where the internet seems to be a bit more stable. So if there are no further questions, obviously, as we get into the budget more, if we have any questions, either someone from Joint Fiscal or the senator who's assigned to BGS section of the budget will follow up with you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank the committee for having us come in today to provide our proposal to you. And again, thank you again for supporting our property management deficit proposal.
Oh, it was our pleasure. We're trying to get cleaned up. I see we haven't cleaned up everything. We still have that internal service deficit in the peanut butter and jellies sections, but
we're working on it.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as, there's a plan in place and whatever. So I'm going to suggest then we adjourn the committee for today.